G'day guys and welcome to the channel. A little while ago I did a little bit of an experiment where I basically took an ice box or a cooler and I just filled it with salty water. And then what I did was I added some wires to that salty water, some copper wires, some tinned copper wires, some connectors of various types with heat shrink, glue lined heat shrink, and even just twisted some wires together, because what I wanted to do was see if we could see any significant difference between that bunch of them and see if we could learn anything from it. So these are the results. We waited about 3 months and this is what we got. These are our wires that were just exposed to the water. Obviously lots of oxidation. Now keep in mind guys, this is not supposed to be, an example of exactly what's going to happen on a boat. It's just an idea to show you, what can happen when you've got open ends or bad joints, bad connections, poor quality crimps or solder joints. So you can see there the discoloration that's in there. Looks like a build-up of oxidation there. The wires themselves have turned a darker color, like tarnish. I don't know if that's the correct term to use, but in the trade we call it green death. Anyway, so here's another example. Oh, look at that. You can see the end of that wire there. That's pretty nasty. Could you imagine if you had something like that in your boat? So there we go. There's a clean piece of copper that I've just stripped off against the oxidized copper. So voltage drop, like I keep saying, voltage drop, data loss, all sorts of problems, faults, weird intermittent issues that you can get from these sort of systems. Sounders dropping off, bilge pumps not working, all of those sorts of things. That's what this has the potential to do, create major issues. Let's have a look at the connectors. Let's see if I can get these connectors off without destroying them completely. Let's start with probably it's going to be the easiest one, this little bit of insulation tape that's wrapped around a connection. Classic. There you go. It's blackened. Let's get a closer look. Righto, so that connection there just had a bit of insulation tape wrapped around a copper wire. Yet again, you can see the green oxidation or the green death there. We'll pull that connector off. Okay, so we can see there that our connector is discolored, nasty sort of a connection, unreliable. So this one here was a glue lined connector. You can see, let me grab the glue there coming out each end of the connector itself. That's what I always like to see, because then you know the glue's run, hopefully it's run all the way along the edge there, all along the connection itself. That ain't letting go. There we go. All right, I finally got it off. That took a bit of effort to get that off, but the whole point is turn it around. So have a look at that one there. If you compare that to that, there's just absolutely no comparison really. One's clean as the day it went in, one's absolutely destroyed. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That copper is nice and clean, no problems at all. That was inline crimp with heat shrink crimp. Next one. All right, so that's our connector. This is the heat shrink that I've just cut off of there. We'll have a close up. There you go. So that had normal heat shrink over it. That was not glue lined heat shrink with an inline connector. Absolutely no way. This is one of those, I don't know what they call these, heat shrink with solder on them. Basically very clean. It's actually surprised me quite a bit. It's come out quite well. And this one over here, again, very clean. Anything that we had that had any glue lined heat shrink on it is fine. Actually, there's another one over here that I should have probably grabbed. That one there. Again, another connector, another crimp. Had standard heat shrink over the top of it and plenty of corrosion to be seen. I just got to stop calling it corrosion. Plenty of damage that can be seen to that connector itself or that wire. So I don't know. Is that useful? So what did I take away from that little experiment? One thing is for certain is whenever I use a heat shrink, that I want to be able to protect wires and connectors and everything else from oxidation or from any sort of water ingress, I'm going to use a glue-lined heat shrink. It forms a far better seal than any other standard heat shrink over the top of that connector. So glue-lined all the way, nothing else. I like crimps, and I like glue-lined heat shrink over the crimps. I know there's a lot of standards out there that specifically point towards the use of crimps. That could be a topic for another day. I'm not going to get into that right now, but at the end of the day, look, when it all comes down to it, what I take away from this is every connection that I use on my boat where I'm using a crimp or connector of some sort, then I'm going to use glue-lined heat shrink over the top of it, and it will protect it quite well. I'm a little bit surprised by the oxidation on the tin copper wires, but you know, the experiment, I guess, was pretty open. It would just throw the wires into a bucket of water. It's not exactly what you're going to get on the everyday, on a boat every day, so yeah, probably extreme. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you got something from it, and I hope it helps you in the future making your decision about how you're going to seal up those connections. Cheers, guys.